Paid for by Save Juneau, P.O. Box 32142 Juneau, Alaska 99803 Molly Duval Chair. Top contributors Wayne Coogan, James Wilcox, and Robert Jacobson.
Hello, I'm Alex Sargent, and this is Did You Know Juneau? And this evening I have Ella Adkison with me, and Ella is running for an area-wide assembly seat. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So first up, we're going to have you tell us a little about yourself and why you're running.
Absolutely. Like she said, my name is Ella Adkison. I was born and raised here in Juneau. Got my first job at a small locally owned business working retail. Graduated from JD and went down south for college, and then I came back because Juneau is the place that I chose to, grow my career and build my life. And I'm so happy to run. I've been working on the state side of things with a member of the Juneau legislative delegation as a staff, and it's only made me want to get more involved in Juneau politics themselves because, Juneau's my community and it's where I really want to serve. I'm really focused on supporting our school district, especially lacking state funding. I really want to build affordable housing so people can come back, raise their families, and retire here. And I want to help local businesses post-COVID and recovering and making sure Juneau's economy is running great.
Awesome. First question. We all love living in Juneau. There we go. But it's expensive. Save Juneau is very concerned about cost of living. What is one idea the Assembly could implement to lower Juneau's cost of living?
So the first thing we have to look at is the problem with housing in Juneau is we don't have a lot of space to build on. And that's why it's so difficult to make, housing projects happen. So I think the first step the Assembly should take is taking a look at our residential zoning and being sure we're getting the most we can out of the land that we have. So I believe the current density cap for housing is D18, which is 18 units an acre, whereas for commercial it's 32 units an acre. So we can really make it so that we have higher density housing and are able to make housing more affordable here in Juneau that way.
All right. At both the state and city level, as well as private sector, there are tons of vacant open positions in Juneau's workforce. Why can't Juneau attract more people to live and work here?
So there's a lot of reasons for that, I think. Mainly housing, which we've already touched on. It's hard to get people to come back here if the only options are live with 5 roommates or live with your parents. There's also, yeah, you get it.
Yes.
And also, I think, especially for young working people who often have families, the lack of childcare in Juneau is a real issue. The city is investing a lot in childcare because the state certainly isn't. They're investing around $1 million a year in, waivers for childcare and childcare centers. That's the word I was looking for. Education grants and per employee stipends. And I know they're going to double that for the next couple of years because they did get a small grant from the state. So it's really important that we look at where we're allocating that money, where it can best be used, and focusing our efforts there so we get the best results for childcare here in Juneau. And I think those are the 2 big reasons. There's other problems, right, like the ferry system not running and all that sort of thing. But that's more of a state level issue that we need to push and advocate for rather than something the Assembly can do directly.
All right. So, you are running for Assembly. How do you see the role of the Assembly member and the Juneau City Manager, which is hired by the Assembly?
Well, definitely with the new city manager, Katie Kester, it's really great that she's gone. She has a lot of experience in the in City Hall and all this stuff. And I'm really excited to work with her and see where we're going on things. I know that she and Rory Watt have been working together, so she really gets the ropes, and that's really great. And so it's really important that we're focusing on things that Juneau really needs, like housing and our education and childcare, all of which things I'm really excited to talk with her about if I get on the Assembly.
Okay, perfect. How would your decisions be affected by public opinion, testimony in person versus email, versus using your knowledge and judgment you have gained on issues?
Yeah, so this is something I think I have a lot of experience with working in the legislature. We hear a lot from people all over their district, which is, lots of people who can't make it into Juneau and come to the Capitol. I don't think there's any reason you need to weigh in-person versus email versus phone call testimony more than one another, because each is a person who cared enough to reach out to you. Definitely it's important to reach out to experts and form your own opinion, but there's always going to be people in Juneau who are better informed about an issue than I am, because I'm only one person. And so it's really important to take the testimony of everybody and take it into consideration and make sure that you're hearing, because ultimately the people you're elected to serve are the people who are going to be reaching out to you, and that's really important.
Awesome. All right, now here we go. This is about the ballot measure and bond measure issue. So it's a big topic because it is the only one on the ballot. Do you support public servants promoting the city hall with public money? Do you have alternative options to solve the ill-managed public building we have today?
Yeah, so I know City Hall is a really huge issue, and I can definitely see both sides of it there, right? It's not a great look to have the ballot measure come up again the year after, but I also understand that we're really at a kind of a turning point with the current building, which is like 70 years old, and it was a firehouse, and it was a jail, and now it's not a great City Hall. The part that I really am looking forward to with new City Hall, or I'm excited about for the idea for new City Hall, is that, or a couple things. One is that it congregates all city services. And ultimately, the job of City Hall is to be accessible to Juneauites. So they can come to do public testimonies on assembly matters, so that they can come and talk about their permits. So there's so much that they need to do, and our current facility isn't allowing for that. At the same time, the $50,000 is another issue. I see where the Assembly was coming from, where they were not trying, I think, so much to promote City Hall, so much as tell people, okay, here's the issue. Here are the facts about the issue, just so people are informed when they vote. That being said, I think coupled with the coming up the next year, it's definitely not a great look. There's certainly that sort of appearance of impropriety. And so I think that public process in this is really, really important, and they didn't necessarily do the best on that. And I would really want to, were I on the Assembly, be more conscious of, making sure we're having that open and engaged public process and alleviating these sort of fears and appearance of impropriety. And that's really important. I think we need to work on that.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna jump into property taxes, because that's another thing that's really come up. Yep,
absolutely.
You know it. Some 400 homeowners appealed their property tax assessments this year. Talk to us about property taxes and where you stand on them.
Absolutely. So there's been a huge issue because nationwide, but especially in Juneau, where housing is already expensive, we've seen a massive increase in property values. And of course, with that, property taxes have jumped up. So that's definitely, I'm glad the city lowered the mill rate so that, to lessen some of that burden on Juneau homeowners. But that's not the only thing that's going up in prices. Things like fuel and, snowplow replacement parts and all these things that the city needs to do day-to-day operations have increased in price. And it's really important that the city's revenues do increase with inflation so that we can provide all these services we need to provide to our homeowners here, so that our roads are plowed and drivable, so that we have after-school programs for kids in the school here and they can get to and from school on buses, so that we hire up our emergency services so we are protected from fire and medical emergencies and we're safe in our neighborhoods. So it's really important, though, and I think what's really the core of the issue here is to balance what we're taxing with the amount of money we're investing in city services for the people here living here in Juneau. And that's a balance I'm really committed to finding on the Assembly.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so this is, I call it the ambiguous question. So here we go. If you could make a promise to the voters that you swear not to break, what would it be?
Yeah, absolutely. So One of the biggest issues I'm concerned about and I'm running on is education here in Juneau. Working in the legislature, I have staffed education issues, and I've seen what a statewide issue it is, and it's really important to me that Juneau kids have all of the opportunities that I did going to school here.
Yeah.
So a promise that I would definitely not break to voters would be that I want to fund our Juneau School District as much as we possibly can, and if the state is determined to prevent us from funding as much as we can, we will get creative and we will figure out how we're going to get around that and fund as much as they need, because the state's not doing it for us.
All right. And do you have any final statements for us? Yeah.
Well, I just really appreciate you taking the time. I know there's a lot of candidates, so this is probably a pretty heavy time investment.
Oh, for sure.
And people can reach out to me. I have a website and Facebook, and I am really excited to hopefully serve on the Assembly and vote on or before October 3rd.
Awesome. And speaking of voting, your mail-in ballot will be mailed out September 14th. You should see it in your mailbox around September 16th, but make sure you see it and make sure you don't throw it out and you use it. Please be a great Juneau civil servant and vote, vote, vote. If you are uncomfortable with mail-in, there are in-person locations in your districts. Make sure to track those down and don't use that as an excuse. Haha, you get to vote. And we will see you out there, Juneau. Thanks so much. Bye.